Right, so an absolutely massive story has broken today in a possible sign of things to come under Keir Starmer's leadership of the Labour Party, if you can call it that. As 72 members of North Islington Constituency Labour Party have now quit in order to support Jeremy Corbyn and oppose Labour's candidate, and have done so in a brutal takedown of Keir Starmer's anti-democratic conduct, issuing a scathing joint letter stating that the imposition of candidates, the lack of consultation, the prevention from selecting their own candidate was all too much. And coming as this move does following the resignation of some 50 Labour members over Faiza Shaheen being blocked from standing, for example, and resignations from the party having happened up and down the country in other areas as well, as a result of candidate impositions and arbitrary blocks being placed on favoured local candidates, Keir Starmer might well be riding high in the polls right now and be on course for a parliamentary majority. But what exactly is going to be left of the Labour Party, which is collapsing at a grassroots level to a degree we've never witnessed before? Right, so huge news breaking this afternoon, and a massive blow it really is to Keir Starmer's hopes of just installing Labour loyalists up and down the country, and certainly a Labour loyalist here in Islington North off the back of 40 years of Jeremy Corbyn's hard work, as 72 members, 72 of them, of North Islington Constituency Labour Party, or CLP, including a dozen members of the Executive Committee, an overwhelming majority of the executive who literally run the CLP, run the Labour Party at local level, which is going to throw the Labour election campaign into disarray there, and, well, deservedly so in my view. But they have today issued a jointly signed letter of resignation telling Keir Starmer exactly what they think of him, the imposition of his candidate Praful Nargand, and the anti-democratic war he seems intent on waging against the membership of the Labour Party itself. Words have not been minced. The letter reads: a plea from resigning and former members of Islington North Labour Party. Vote for Jeremy Corbyn, Independent. Dear voters of Islington North, we have been proud members of Islington North Labour Party for many years. Together we have campaigned on a wide range of issues, from defending the local number 4 bus routes to saving the local hospital's A&E. These campaigns have united members from all sides of our party, and we are proud of the collegiate atmosphere that we have created. In many ways, Islington North CLP was the genuine broad church that the Labour Party claims to be. This year, we have been denied the right to choose our own candidate for the general election. Not a single person in Islington North has had a say. We believe in democracy, and the people of Islington North deserve an MP who believes in democracy too. Jeremy Corbyn has dedicated his life to this constituency. We hear on a regular basis from people how Jeremy has been there for them in their time of need, whether that is housing, education, or anything else. He has always worked in partnership with our Progressive Labour Council, both as a Labour MP and as an independent MP. We have been proud to stand alongside Jeremy over the course of 10 general elections. This year, we will be campaigning for him as an independent for Islington North. Many of us have already resigned or been expelled from the Labour Party as a result. Those of us who are still in the party know our support for Jeremy will result in the termination of our membership. We do not take this decision lightly, but it is time to take a stand in the name of democracy and justice. We will campaign on the same principles we have always had. That includes ending all our privatisation of our NHS in order to restore the principle of free, public and universal healthcare. Jeremy has always been an honest, brave and principled voice. We need that voice now more than ever. We implore Labour voters to support Jeremy Corbyn as an independent candidate and vote for him on the 4th of July. It is then signed by all the members who have resigned, which, as I mentioned, include people involved in the running of North Islington Constituency Labour Party itself, the very people running Labour's election campaign in that constituency, or should be, supposed to be. And most of them have just quit to back Corbyn. The CLP chair has gone, though she quit just over a week ago, as it happens, having been caught campaigning for Jeremy already. But also leaving the party have been several of the vice chairs, the CLP secretary, which I think is actually the most important position of all in a CLP executive, simply cannot operate without a solid secretary coordinating anything, and it won't help asking the assistant secretary to take over because he's gone as well. The communications and social media officer has quit, so the CLP is now practically silenced. The environment officer has quit, the women's secretary has quit, the BAME officer has quit, the LGBTQ plus officer has quit, and when you look through the list of other names who are signatories to this, you're looking at people who run ward branches within the CLP, smaller administrations than the Constituency Labour Party itself, but who report to it on a regular basis. And you're looking at ward chairs, vice chairs of the wards as well, treasurers, organisers there. They've also gone, they've also walked. Labour has lost them. They've all gone to Corbyn, and all because Keir Starmer functionally is an undemocratic control freak who could not bring himself to allow Jeremy Corbyn to stand in the seat he has represented for 40 years, who went above and beyond to get a motion passed at the National Executive Committee specifically singling Corbyn out as a member who was to be barred from standing from Parliament. But not only did he block Corbyn from standing, but the CLP was then forbidden from selecting him as well. But they were also stopped in the end from selecting anyone else, as the NEC, which Starmer always defers to excuse himself as if he has nothing to do with them, despite him as party leader very much sitting on the NEC himself, and then imposed on North Islington a private health CEO who has made millions through the sale of a majority share of his and his mum's IVF clinic chain, Private Health, to US healthcare interests, as the Labour candidate. He has about as much in common with the common man, with ordinary working class people in Islington North, as Rishi Sunak does. That mention of the NHS and hospital campaigns was deliberate, because Praful Nargand, that Labour candidate, is not the sort to campaign for that. Where Starmer's Labour want more private health inclusion, and this will happen if Starmer's health minion Wes Streeting gets his way, Nargand will be fully supporting that. Let's face it, all imposed Labour candidates will. Starmer's aversion to democracy, also taken a swipe at in this letter, is exactly why he made sure that only pliant candidates ever got selected. A party of yes men who will never challenge him. And given any kind of supermajority, there will be little opposition to him on the opposition benches of Parliament either, making the message these resignees are making now all the more important, and not merely to those voters in Islington North, but nationwide. If you think a vote for Labour is where you want to go, and you think that's a sensible choice to make right now, because everything about Keir Starmer says otherwise. The mainstream media are predictably doing damage limitation for Starmer at the moment. Here's a tweet by Robert Peston. Many of the executive committee of Islington North's Labour Party have just announced they are resigning from the party, so they can campaign for the expelled former Labour leader. It is difficult to know if this will be seen as good or bad news by Starmer, since he takes pride in exiling Corbyn. Either way, this general election is especially messy for Tories and Labour. Messy it definitely is, Robert. Starmer taking pride in expelling Corbyn, though? This is his pride and his ego and his arrogance talking. This is his controlling, undemocratic nature. Have just seen his own local Labour Party in that constituency of North Islington blown wide open. I don't know if those remaining within that CLP can cobble things together between them quickly enough and get themselves organised fast enough to rescue Labour's campaign here, as it were. The loss of decades of organisation and campaign experience, however, is going to be a big blow when it will now be all working against them. They may well struggle to put back together an organisation and an election campaign there, since so often it is the case that where the Labour right expect the left to sit down, shut up and know their place most of the time, come election time, they know it is so often the left that are out there campaigning and door-knocking in all weathers. Not that that has been the experience for Praful Nargand, a man who has been elusive in the extreme, who is avoiding hustings like the plague, seemingly of the belief enough people still think Jeremy Corbyn is the Labour candidate that he'll pick up mistake votes. The biggest issue for Corbyn has been that new message that he is standing as an independent and ensuring enough people know that, so that they end up voting in the full knowledge that he is no longer Labour's candidate. And this news, which is reverberating through mainstream and social media this afternoon, will certainly help get that message out to more people. But it won't be enough in and of itself. Starmer did Corbyn dirty, as has happened to so many other good candidates, because they happen to actually be Democrats and actually be socialists. And the picture in Islington North has been replicated elsewhere as well, with the local Labour organisation falling apart. I mentioned Faiza Shaheen's campaign and 50 Labour members quitting there earlier. And that is all on Starmer, wherever it has happened. Whether you are a Corbyn fan or not, I would hate personally to wake up on the 5th of July, when we know we're going to have a Starmer-led government, to discover I accidentally voted Jeremy Corbyn out and ended up voting for a guy who will be grinning at the thought of not saving our NHS, but flogging off still more of it. If you want to stop that, if you stand against that, if you are opposed to that, if you want to join this last week of Corbyn's campaign to make sure more people know a vote for Labour is not a vote for Corbyn, you are absolutely still needed. To get Corbyn re-elected will be to give Keir Starmer a bloody nose on a day where he'll almost certainly be celebrating. We need opposition voices to what he's going to bring in Parliament, and you don't get much more vociferous than Jeremy's. So we need him re-elected. Cheers, folks.